wanted to share my testimony, how God was in the details of me relocating to Atlanta. Now, if it was up to me, I would have not shared and just kept it to myself, but this is a testimony that can help so many people because God was all in the detail. Divine timing is everything. God timing is better than anyone's timing or our own timing. So just know that God was all in the details of this, that I just had to share it. So it's not me being braggadocious, it's just me sharing this testimony to help someone. And it was like 2024 on Twitter in the beginning of the year. So I'm like, I saw this quote that said, God, show me how good it can get. And I wrote that quote in my journal. So I'm realizing it's like November. I'm like, dang, God ain't really like show me nothing yet. Did he forget about me? We only got one more month, right? It's December. The next month, December, it's the end of November. God ain't really showed me. But as I was looking through my pictures, I'm like, you know what? I did do some wonderful things this year. Sometimes we tend to forget some of the things that God has done. So that's why it's good to have like a gratitude journal and write things down because I literally almost forgot. So in November, I'm like, God, I'm sick and tired. Like, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I'm tired of being in my comfort zone. I felt like being back home was my comfort zone. And I'm so grateful for my city because I've accomplished so much. I've written a grant, I received it. I was able to give back books. I had great job opportunities through friends and through co-workers. I established some good relationships through mentorship. Like everything worked itself out. I always had a job back home, whether it was somebody telling me a job and putting me on, telling me about a job or putting me on. It was a blessing to be back home, but I knew that if I wanted to grow, I had to step outside of my comfort zone. And that's the point that I was at in November, December. Like everything was just getting tired to me and old. So I'm like, you know what? I was like, God, people say they be hearing you speak to them, but I never heard you. I never heard your voice. I never heard you. Like, what do God, sound like? So I was on my lunch break and I'm like, God, I want to go to a new city. Like I don't want to be here no more. Like I'm ready to go. But if it's meant for me to be here, then keep me here because I'm ready to surrender my plans to you because obviously my plan is not working out. I always wanted to be in Atlanta, but I took a step back from looking for jobs because most of the jobs in my field, there were in-home counseling. I'm like, I'll be in a whole new city in Atlanta doing in-home counseling. I don't know nothing about those cities or towns. So, I just refrained from the job hunting thing of relocating to Atlanta. So I'm like, if I want to relocate, let me just apply to somewhere different. So I applied to a new state, not Atlanta at this time. I did a whole new other state, far away. The people called me back immediately. So I passed the first interview. They called me for the second interview. So I booked the flight, I booked the hotel and all that. Then they hit me back up. They wanted to reschedule it. And at the time, they wanted me to be there at the moment, and I couldn't be there at the moment. So they was like, we'll hold it for you, but you couldn't be there. But I knew that would have been a huge step. So I'm like, let me check my other options. Let me do Atlanta. Let me do Georgia, because I knew that's where I originally wanted to be. Let me apply there, but let me bring you all the way back. So I'm like, God, I need to hear your voice. So I was like, as I was praying, I'm like, I want to hear you. What should I do? What's the next step? Should I stay? Should I go? Those were my prayers. As I'm walking to my work building, because I was sitting on my lunch break, I was checking my email, and then I received the message from our property that the lease is up and it's time to be renewed. So I said to myself, if I have to renew this lease, I'm going to stay another year. That's going to keep me comfortable. So I'm like, I don't want to renew this lease. I'm not going to renew the lease. So I called my mom and I was like, can I put my stuff in storage and come there? So just putting it out there. And she was like, yeah. We've been talking about this because I've been said I want to move. But the goal was to move by the summer. I didn't know it was going to be this soon. So I went to church that Sunday after I, prayed about it and seeing what's the next step. I went to church that Sunday and the message was he sent his word. That was the theme. And after the altar call or before the altar call, my pastor was reading Romans 8:28, and he talked about plan, purpose, and perseverance. Now, Romans 8:28 is my favorite Bible verse for those called according to their purpose, and everything will work out, for its greater good. That's just to summarize that scripture. However, I'm born on 8:28, and I feel that I am created for a special purpose. So shout out to my mom for having me on August the 28th. I love my birthday. So as the preacher was praying, so as I was getting ready, seeing like what is my next step, I was meditating on Isaiah 43:19. Behold, God is about to do a new thing, because I applied to that other city. So I was like, I want something really new, really fresh. So that's the Bible quote that I was meditating on and reflecting on, Isaiah 43:19. So as the pastor talking, he said that, and I had to write this down. He said, God will provide for you. You got to be willing to go where God said go. That was one of the things. And it said, this that made me say that, you know what, I'm about to go home, call around to different storage units, see where I can get a storage at, pack it up, put it in storage, and go to my mom until I find me something. Because if I sign that lease, I'm going to be here again. So it said, don't miss this window of opportunities. Everybody don't escape twice. That right there, I knew I had to go. So that was the confirmation right there. There was only a week literally left in December. And then it was down to like 4 or 3 days, because I'm calling around in my area where I stay, but all the storage units were full. And I'm like, okay, it's day 3, it's day 4. I got to make some shakes. So I called to West Palm Beach, found the storage unit. My mom and my cousin helped me move my stuff into the storage unit. So I applied to Atlanta as well. And my mom was like, whatever opportunity come first, take that. But the other city did come first. It came at the same time. It was just a job opportunity thing. They wanted me there. So both apartments approved me on January the 15th. That's how I found the state, aka. So both companies approved me, not job companies, but both apartments approved me January the 15th. January the 15th, I had an interview with this company virtually to sign a contract to work with them for my business, Prolific Mind Wellness, because I do offer counseling. I'm a licensed mental health therapist in the state of Florida. So after I got done doing the interview, at the same time, I got the job. She gave me the job the same day I was offered that contractual work. That month before that, like this December, I signed a contract. We're working with mothers postpartum. I signed that contract as well. So I got jobs lined up, like for myself, business wise. But entrepreneurship, what you don't kill, you don't eat. So I'm used to being comfortable with having a job. Having a job is your comfortability. So boom, January 15th, everything was approved. So now, how do I explain this to my CEO that I'm leaving, like my boss, my supervisor, that I got a new opportunity? But I also like what I'm doing. I don't want to fully let it go. So I called the CEO that Friday, and I didn't call my supervisor or anything. I went straight to the CEO. I told him about me relocating to Georgia and considering moving there. He was like, I'm all happy for somebody moving forward. You're a great worker. You're a great asset to our company. And I was asking him, I don't want to fully let it go. Would it be okay if I work virtually? He was like, sure, I don't mind. Let me speak to your supervisor and we could see what we could do. So we left it there that Friday. So I'm still not knowing. So when I get to work, the supervisor came to my office and he told me about the good news. I'm so happy for you. We're going to see what we can do virtually, how we can put our documents and everything on virtually. And that's what we left off at. So I went and came to Atlanta during my vacation, my PTO. I came up here, and then when I got back, she said, we got good news for you. We was able to put things virtually. Our IT guy came out to work with me Monday, and we was seeing like what would be the potential barriers so we can know what's all in place before we get there. Y'all can tell me God was not in those details. The people allowed me to work virtually. They made a way out of no way, and by me making that one move, it helped them, because they was like, we was considering like working virtually and putting documents on, but they was like, you just really put that fire under us that made us work even faster. So sometimes when you take one step, people around you take steps too. So if you don't get anything from this, don't be afraid to ask. So rewind back to church in January. It was our pastoral 5th anniversary, and he had a guest speaker. This is God again in the details. The guest speaker was from where? Atlanta, Georgia. So as I'm applying, I didn't mention the part about as I was applying for Atlanta, they wanted a certain document. Like there's different documents you have to have. It was an offer letter that I was missing. But I'm like, I don't have no offer letter. But then I thought, like, girl, you just signed 2 contracts for your business. Use that. But the offer letter didn't have what I was making in there. It was just an offer letter. So I was scrolling through Instagram, and there was a song by Zacardi Cortez, Lord Do It For Me. I never heard that song before, but when I listened to it, I'm like, this resonates with what I need right now at this moment. So as I submitted my application, I was listening to that song. That's the song I was meditating on. And I gave them my document for my offer letter. So the apartment was approved. I got everything. It was approved. So God was in the details. Everything I needed, God, grace, and mercy was sufficient. Everything that I needed, I had within myself and with God. I didn't need anything else. Catch. So that was a blessing within itself. So back to the pastoral, the man went to preaching a sermon and he bust out singing, God do it for me. So I just knew Atlanta was it. Atlanta was for me. Because at the time I'm like, okay, I got both of these opportunities. But then my sister-in-law was, Atlanta is somewhere you always want to go. And then my friends that know me and that I've been mentioning before, like with Atlanta, and my mother, it was like, with Atlanta, you always want to be in Atlanta. And as my mom was walking my vision board off of the U-Haul, I saw Atlanta on my vision board. So it just shows you that God's timing is better than our timing. Would I have been ready if I would have went 3 or 2 years ago? I may not have. I just think being licensed gave me the opportunity to be flexible. And when God was in the detail, I have everything that I need and more. So another thing that was a blessing, the storage was free for that month. My rent was first month rent free. It said that, but however, I still ended up paying at least $1,500, but I didn't have to pay the full rent fee. But that was a blessing within itself because God was all in the details of me coming to Atlanta. My job was on board. I signed 2 contracts for my own personal business because I didn't want to share, but I'm like, this is a testimony because sometimes success change people around you. Like I've been through that. So some things of my accomplishment, I just like to sit on it and keep it to myself. But I just had to share this testimony that trust God defines timing, and sometimes we got to surrender and let go. And trust God and have faith that it would all work itself out for its greater good. And the thing that I did, I took the leap of faith of putting my stuff in storage and knowing that God was going to work itself out. I didn't expect it to be this soon. Like I was thinking like before the summer. But because of that sermon that my pastor, Pastor Campbell, preached, and it said, take this window of opportunity now. Everybody don't escape twice. I had to do it now, or else I would have got comfortable again. So I took that leap of faith. I asked my supervisor. I stepped outside of my comfort zone. I made sacrifices by putting my stuff in storage and going to my mother home for a few days. I tithed and I fasted and I meditated. I drowned out distractions. I got quiet. So on my rides to work, I wasn't listening to music or anything like that. I was praying and hearing the word. So this is a testimony. It may not be what you wanted, but listen, God is going to come on time. This Atlanta thing was over a 5-year span of me thinking about it, but just getting comfortable in my comfort zone. But in November, just like, you know what, I'm tired. I need something different. I need something new, and I need to be challenged. So whatever it is that you're working on, trust God, divine timing, because everything worked itself out, lined up for me on this greater good, and I'm just so thankful. And on top of that, my job did something extra for me that I'm not even going to share, that I'm so grateful for them. Not only did they, let me work virtually, but it's something else that they add. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that I did tell for your encouraging words, to everyone that helped me along the way, to my parents, to Jaheem, that everybody helped me move, to my friend Ashley was like, check your Zelle because I know how it is with moving. Thank you, my girl. Thank you, Cody, and everybody else for the encouraging words. Thank you to that boy. All y'all, those words that y'all sent is encouraging in those moments when I feel my days are low. I will look at those words that you all sent me, and I remember that my purpose is bigger than me. This girl gotta go hard because my parents drove my things all the way up here to Atlanta. Shout out to my dad. Through pain and all, he pushed through to get his daughter her stuff. So I have to go hard. It's only up for him. I knew my time was coming. I just had to wait for it. Shout out, salute you for that. But trust God, divine timing. God was all in these details of me moving to Atlanta, Georgia.